Hi, my name is Aaron Emmanuel Avilirin, and I'm here back in in my YouTube. It's been a long time since I uploaded a video, so I returned here. You wanna know why? Because I missed you guys. I miss making videos, and the reason for my, you know, um, the the reason for my an active account and my loss of appearance in YouTube, and I completely lost my schedule of uploading videos like this one in my channel is that I am very busy at school. And you know, school in my school, it's people are very competitive, if you don't know. And since that's the reason, I've made a decision to leave the YouTube, uh, leave or abandon my schedule for the reason that I'm very busy. And now, since I'm back, because we finished the activity where we dance, which I forgot to upload, which that video is a poetry video, and it's a dance where we express the the missing sabong arrows that is thrown in the lake of Taal. And you know, it is a very sad story for the people who lost their fathers, which is the sabongeros. And this video is a video about a book made by Daniel Goleman, and it is about the emotional intelligence. And I'm going to read a story in his book, and I would never make a book. I would never read the entire thing of this book. I'm just going to read one story of emotional intelligence and why it can matter more than intelligence. At first, I'm going to give my opinion on or my view on why emotional intelligence is more important than intelligence itself. So, one of the many reasons is that by having a by being emotionally smart, you are more capable of communicating with others, which is totally true. Well, if you think about it, being intelligent on any other field except your emotions, well, it could be good, yes, but by lacking the emotional intelligence or EQ, you would, you know, it would never, it would never make you like build a more um intimate relations with others, because by lacking emotional intelligence, you would never connect with people because you prioritize more on knowledge, like knowledge that is not on relationships. And by being emotionally intelligent, you would create more connections with people, and that is that's a good thing. Want to know why? Is that if you are like good at communicating with others or building relationships with others, is that you um you will build a like this aura that is perceived as a good thing. Well, what do you mean by that, Aaron? Well, if you think about it, if you are Like, if you treat others like they are a if you treat the person good, well, they will treat you good as well. So that's why having an emotional intelligence will make you more intelligent than, you know, the actual knowledge. And now let's start reading The Emotionless Man, or so we called The Man Without Feelings. So let's start. Gary infuriated his fiancée, Ellen, because even though he was intelligent, thoughtful, and successful surgeon, Gary was an emotional flat, completely unresponsive to any and all shows of feeling. Well, to me, I really hate people like that. People who lack empathy towards others are very, very weird people. Like, they act tough, even though, it's not a good thing in our society. People who act tough are very, those are the people who we we cannot connect with them. And, you know, I hate people like that. The reason we have society is that we people should be more connected and help each other so that we could solve problems within our community. And if people like him, and it's a sad thing that he's a surgeon, because surgeons must be people who are like, they should have feelings, they should have an empathy towards others, that, I mean, by caring by caring other people, that does that make you, like, I don't know, I cannot think of this thing, but I know that, doesn't that drain you? Like, if you care about other people, like, so much, does it does that drain your energy? I know caring for people is a good thing, like what is Daniel Goleman is trying to pursue, persuade, trying to persuade people, is that emotional intelligence is it matters more than IQ. Well, if you think about it, well, in some case that does in some case that makes sense, because by having emotional intelligence, you as a person can, for example, you are a parent and you are raising a child. You as a parent having a you know you are emotional intelligent, you will raise a very wise child. And that is good for our society. So after that, Gary was emotionally flat, completely unresponsive to any and all shows of feelings. While Gary could speak brilliantly of science and art, when it came to his feelings, even for Ellen, he fell silent. Try as she might to elicit some passion from him, Gary was impassive, oblivious, quote unquote, quote by her is, "I don't naturally express my feelings." It's Gary. Gary told the therapist he saw Ellen's insistence. When it came to emotional life, he added, "I don't know what to talk about. I have no strong feelings, either positive or negative." Ellen was not alone in being frustrated by Gary's aloofness. As he confided to his therapist, he was unable to speak openly about his feelings with anyone in his life. The reason, he did not know what he felt in the first place. So far as he could tell, he has no angers or no sadnesses, no joys. As his own therapist observes, his emotional blackness makes Gary and others like him colorless, bland. They bore everybody. That's why their wives send them into treatment. Gary's emotional flatness exemplifies what psychiatrists call alexithymia, from the Greek aphox lack, lexis for the word, and the thymus for emotion, lack of emotion. Alexithymia. Such people lack words for their feelings. Indeed, they seem to lack feelings altogether. Although this may actually be because of their inability to express emotion rather than from an absence of emotion altogether. Such people were first noticed by psychoanalysis, puzzled by a class of patients who were untreatable by that method because they reported no feelings, no fantasies, and colorless dreams. In short, no inner emotional life to talk about at all. Well, that's a very sad story for Gary. Honestly, I feel bad for him. Having no feelings feels like, you know, it's so colorless. Imagine a world where we don't feel feelings, we don't feel emotions. That is so terrible. I cannot live life without feeling happy, without feeling love. All people desire to be loved, and I know that. And, you know, I could relate to that. Sometimes, when people felt loneliness, they search for love. They want to be loved, honestly. And if as a person, I mean, Gary is very lucky that he has a wife that cares for him, but, you know, lacking feelings, that doesn't, that's very sad. And the alexithymia, the lack of emotion, that's a very, very sad case for Gary. How would he, I mean, in the first place, how did he have a relationship with um who's this, sir? Who's his wife? Forgot. I lost. Mm, Ellen. Oh, it's not his wife, it's his fiance. It's a very sad case for Gary. The clinical feature that mark alexithymia comment in the please comment in the comment section if what my is my pronunciation about alexithmics are correct. Comment down below. Alexithmics include having difficulty describing feelings, their own or anyone else, and sharply limited emotional. Oh, they do have feelings, but they are limited to, express it. That's a very sad case. Vocabulary. But what's more, they have trouble discriminating among emotion as well as between emotion and bodily sensation, so that they might tell of having butterflies in the stomach. Is butterfly in the stomach? I know the meaning. It's that you have, you're like nervous, I think. Is it right? I know its meaning, I know. They give the impression of being different, alien beings having come from an entirely different world, living in the midst of a society which is dominated by feelings. In a description given by Dr. Peter Simius, the Harvard psychiatrist who in 1972 coined the term alexithymia. Alexithmics rarely cry, for example. Oh, they rarely cry also. They also lack sadness. Well, that's a good, I mean, it could be a good thing. Lacking the emotion to cry, so that they might, okay. For example, but if they do, their tears are copious. Still, they are bewildered if asked what tears are all about. One patient with alexithymia was so upset after seeing a movie about a woman with 8 children who was dying of cancer that she cried herself to sleep. When her therapist suggested that perhaps she was upset because the movie reminded her of her own mother, who was in actuality dying of cancer, the woman sat motionless, bewildered, and silent. When her therapist then asked her how she felt at that moment, she said she felt awful, but couldn't clarify her feelings beyond that. And she added, from time to time, she found herself crying, but he never knew exactly what she was crying about. And that is a nub of problem. It is not alexithmics never feel, but they are unable to know, and especially, oh, never feel, but they are unable to know, and especially unable to put into words precisely what their feelings are. So they feel feelings, but they cannot express what they feel. So what I just said earlier is completely wrong. Well, alexithymia is a word. It's a word that lacks feelings. So that's why I thought it's that lack feelings. But they do experience feelings, but they cannot say what they feel. For example, right now I feel, you know, I'm shy, I think. embarrassed. I was embarrassed that I made a mistake. So, with that, I expressed what I felt after making mistake. If I had an alexithymia, no, alexithymia, alexithymia, well, I cannot feel what I just made there. I might say that, you know, maybe I felt, I don't know, I cannot explain what I felt. Maybe I was happy or I cannot. So that's the example of alexithymix. Alexithymix. They are they are utterly lacking in the fundamental skill of emotional intelligence, self-awareness, knowing what we are feeling as emotional royal within us. Alist alistimics wait, alexit alextimics. So I was right. It's not, it can be alexithymia or alexthymics. Believe common sense notion that is a perfectly self-evident what we are feeling. They haven't a clue when something or more likely someone does move them to feeling they find the issue. It's weird. Anyway, when something or more likely someone does move them to feeling, they find the experience baffling, and overwhelming, something to avoid at all costs. Feelings come to them when they come at all as a bundle of distress. As the patient who cried at the movie put it, they feel awful, but can say exactly which kind of awful it is they feel. This basic confusion about feelings often seems to lead them to complain of a vague medical problems when they are actually experiencing emotional distress, a phenomenon known in psychiatry as somatizing, mistaking an emotional ache for a physical one at and different from the psychosomatic disease in which emotional problems cause genuine medical ones. Indeed, much of the psychiatric interest in alexithmics is in weeding them out from among those who come to doctors seeking help, for they are prone to lengthy and fruitless pursuit of a medical diagnosis and treatment for what is actually an emotional problem. While no one can as yet say for sure what causes alexithymia, Dr. Symphonius proposes a disconnection between the limbic system and the neocortex, particularly its verbal centers, which fits well with what we are learning about this emotional brain. Patients with severe seizures who had that connection surgically severed to relieve their symptoms, notes Simenius, became emotionally flat, like people with alexithymia, unable to put their feelings into words and suddenly devoid of fantasy life. In short, though though the circuits of emotional brain may react with feelings, the neocortex is not able to sort out these feelings and add a nuance of language to them. As able to sort out these feelings and add the nuance of language to them. As able to sort out these feelings and add, okay. As Henry wrote, observed in his novel called It Sleep about this power of language. If you could put words to what you felt, it was yours. The corollary, the corollary, the corollary, of course, is the alexithmic, alexithmics dilemma. Having no words for feelings means not making feelings your own. So that ends with the man with no feelings. But, well, Gary, I feel bad for you. I wish Ellen and you, Gary, and your fiance Ellen, well, I hope you two work out and have a very happy relationship and a very good marriage. Well, Alex Meetings. Honestly, that is a very sad case. Having a feeling that you cannot fully express what you felt. I mean, you feel that, but you cannot express it. You cannot explain what you felt. I mean, actually, what I said earlier that it is actually a good thing, well, erase that at all costs. That is not true, honestly. Since you felt it, and at worst you cannot explain what you felt, that is very bad. And by, you know, believing that it is a physical problem rather than emotional problem, that is much more worse than thought I thought it's been before I read that. Wow, that's a very good story of the emotional intelligence and why it can matter more than IQ by Daniel Goleman. Wow, that is a good one. So that's all for now, and hopefully I'm going to make another video, and I wish that could happen because I believe so this week in um August 4 until August 8, we would be doing so much things for this week. So, without further ado, I'm going to end this with a bye bye.